Hi, welcome back to the 7-Day Health Reset. I'm Joshua Gut Health, Certified Physician Assistant. Today we're going to go over one of the most important health systems of the body, the digestive system. And I'm going to teach you 10 easy ways you can improve your digestion today. Number 1, chewing your food well. I know this sounds like a very simple thing, but it actually accomplishes a lot. Number 1, chewing your food well. This sounds like a very simple thing to do, but it can actually accomplish a lot to improve your digestion. So first of all, when you chew your food better, you can absorb a lot more nutrients. The more you break down your food mechanically using chewing, the easier it is to now break down the food chemically later on and then absorb those nutrients. Another thing that will be accomplished is that the food doesn't sit around in the gut. If the food sits around in the gut for too long, we run into problems like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or candida overgrowth. And that can cause a slew of digestive issues. So just chewing your food well can avoid that. And then the other thing is, this is a great weight loss tool because it takes 20 minutes for the stomach to tell the brain that you're full. So if you chew your food well, then you're going to eat more slowly, and therefore you're going to end up eating less because you're going to be full after 20 minutes because you've had enough to eat. Number 2, you want to eat in a relaxed setting. This is very, very important. Why? Because the digestive system is the rest and digest system. It's run by the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you're not relaxed, your digestion is not going to work efficiently either. They work together. So the more relaxed you are, the better your digestion is going to work in the end. If you're more stressed out, it takes away from the parasympathetic nervous system, and it's going to give towards the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight system. So you really, really want to concentrate on the rest and digest system and eat in a relaxed setting. So that means putting all the phones away, putting all electronics away, making sure that you're settled, that you're not getting up and down from the chair during the meal. I know it's easier said than done for a lot of mothers out there, but it's a very important step to make sure that you eat in a relaxed setting because the gut can just work more effectively when you do that. The third step is eating smaller meals more often. So there is this whole craze of intermittent fasting, but what happens is when the gut is rested for too long, what happens is now the gut is not moving efficiently. You don't have that mobility and the peristalsis that's supposed to work in the gut. What can happen is now, the food can sit there for too long because you don't have the proper motility within the gut to move the food along, and it'll just stick around longer, and then we run into those problems like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and candida overgrowth again. So eating small meals more often is probably better for your digestion. Now, that doesn't mean you're constantly grazing. It doesn't mean you're constantly eating something. We're talking about set times of the day. So you have breakfast, you have lunch, and you have dinner. And then if you'd like, you can also have a morning snack and an afternoon snack. So you are resting your gut for a couple hours and letting that meal digest, but you're not eating too much at those meals either. So it's a lot easier for your gut to digest the food and therefore absorb more of those nutrients. You do want to fast from the time, we'll talk about that soon, from the time of 8 o'clock till you wake up the next day. And that gives you that fasting interval of 12 or 14 hours. But for those people that are fasting for 18 hours, it can actually slow down the metabolism and slow down the motility of the gut and actually create digestive issues. Step number 4 is you want to only eat till you're 80% full. So a lot of us will eat till we're busting, and that's how we know we're full. But we just want to eat till we're satisfied. It's very, very difficult for the gut to digest food, and it's just going to either store it as fat or again, it's just going to hang around the gut and create this overgrowth scenario. So you don't want to give the gut more than it can handle. Only eat till you're 80% full, you're satisfied, you know that you're not starving, you know there's another meal coming in a few hours, or snack or a meal, so don't worry about it. So don't eat till your button's busting out of your pants. Just eat till you're satisfied and you know that it's good enough for your sustenance to keep going on through the day. Step number 5, do not drink with a meal. There's a couple reasons for this. Number 1 is when you drink with a meal, it can cause the food to move too quickly through the digestive tract, which is not a good thing either, and therefore you won't absorb enough nutrients. Another thing is it alters the pH. It alters the acidity in the stomach, the small intestine. You need to have a specific pH in order to digest and absorb foods at certain parts of the digestive tract. If this pH is altered, you will not be able to break down the food properly or absorb it properly, releasing the necessary digestive enzymes. Better to drink before the meal, 15 minutes before the meal, or 15 minutes after the meal, but not during the meal. Can you have soup? Yes, that's fine. Can you have stews? Yes, that's fine. Those are actually very very beneficial to digestion. However, you don't want to drink water during the meal. You want to drink, if you really need to drink something during the meal, it should be at least room temperature, if not warm, like a tea. And tea sometimes can actually aid with digestion if it's warm. But in general, try to stick to just eating during your meal and saving your drinks for before and after the meal. This now leads us to step number 6. You want to actually drink something warm and something that's beneficial for digestion to kick up those digestive acids and bile. So ginger tea is fantastic, or you can just slice ginger into your water. Dandelion root tea is really great. And then even just adding a little bit of lemon or apple cider vinegar to the water 15 minutes before you eat, that's fantastic, because those drinks can actually help spike digestive acids, so hydrochloric acid, bile acids that are needed in order to break down proteins and fats. So in this case, drinking before the meal is actually beneficial. But again, you want to make sure that those drinks are at least room temperature, but I would even suggest having them warm, because that'll warm the digestive tract so you can get motility going. Step number 7 is cycle your foods. I deal with a lot of this in my practice. So people tend to eat the same thing over and over again for lunch, for dinner. Basically, instead of asking what's for dinner, they'll ask what's for chicken. And what happens is, and I see this on allergy tests all the time, when we eat the same exact foods all the time, you can actually develop food sensitivities or food allergies. So what I recommend is to cycle your foods. So you're kind of alternating. You could have chicken one night, beef one night, turkey one night. And it doesn't have to be animal protein. You could have legumes, right? Like beans or lentils as your protein. So you don't have to eat the same thing all the time. Again, you want to cycle your foods, but another benefit, a side benefit, is that you're actually going to get a variety of nutrients. I'm not sure if this is what God intended when he developed food allergies to stop you from eating those foods, but it is important to cycle the foods also so you can get those variety of nutrients. Even different proteins, they're not all created equal. They all have different micronutrients and phytonutrients. So we want to kind of cycle those foods, whether it's nuts and seeds, legumes. So you also don't want to use the same exact plant-based milk all the time. You want to mix it up: almond milk, cashew milk, oat milk. So mix it up a little bit and get some variety in your diet. Step number 8, and this is where we go back to intermittent fasting. You don't want to eat past 8 p.m. That is important because, first of all, the gut just starts to slow down. It just won't digest properly. Also, people tend, if you're going to sleep at 10 o'clock, you need to give yourself enough time where you can digest the food before you lay down, and then your body has a very difficult time with digestion. Also, at night, you start to detoxify. You want to focus on that when you're sleeping. So you do want to have that 12 or 14 hour interval where you're not eating, because you want to focus on detoxification. But just going back, you're going to digest better and you're going to absorb the nutrients better when you're awake versus lying down. So you don't want to eat past 8 p.m. But if you have to, take something light like a protein shake where you're just doing half the serving, or drink some tea at night, just to fill you up a little bit. But you don't want to stagnate the digestive process by eating too late. Step number 9. This kind of goes with step number 8, but you want to make sure that you're moving after a meal. So after dinner, don't just go sit down on the couch or lie down in bed. Move for a little bit. Just, sit by the table, relax. You want to relax a little bit after you eat, but then go for a 10 or 15-minute walk. Walking in general actually helps move the digestive tract. So exercise is very, very important for digestion. But you want to make sure that things are moving through and not just settling down. Again, going back, it can cause all this overgrowth symptoms, and that's hard to fight once you have them. So if you don't go to the bathroom when nature calls, you're telling the brain to not send signals to your colon to do its duty, pun intended. So get into the habit of, when you need to go to the bathroom, go right away, in order to ensure that you have regular frequency of bowel movements and your digestion is moving, your absorption is moving, and you have motility in the gut. So thank you so much for joining us today. The main thing to take away from this is that you want to take these steps in order to guarantee that your gut just keeps moving and moves at a regular pace, moves at the right pace, and then you're producing the right digestive enzymes, you're producing the right stomach acids and the bile acids. You just basically doing everyday things and adjusting everyday things that you're already doing, and in order that digestion and absorption are just more efficient, and you're just going to be less bloated, you're going to go to the bathroom better, and when you can eliminate waste and absorb nutrients better, your overall health is going to take a turn for the better. So whether just taking one of these steps on or two of these steps on at a time, focusing on chewing your food well, just going to the bathroom when you need to go, those are 2 steps that you can easily take today. Go ahead and do them. And then when you're ready, you can go on to the more advanced steps, like, drinking ginger tea before the meal, or lemon juice, apple cider vinegar before the meal, cycling your foods, and those sort of things. But once you start doing things, you'll get into the habit, and it'll be very easy, and you won't want to go back. That's the whole idea of this health reset, is really taking on habits where it helps you start feeling better, and you don't want to go back to those old habits because you're feeling so great, and it becomes enjoyable to take these steps. So thank you so much for joining us today, and best of health to you. Goodbye.